Hi guys, James at Bespoke Airsoft here, welcome back to the Bringing It Home show. I've been sent another cool pistol from Army, but will it be as good as the JW3? Let's find out. So yes, Army pulled it out of nowhere with the JW3 pistol. I think it took everyone as well as myself by surprise. For the purpose of this review, I've actually got a JW3, I've got a buddy of mine's JW3 with me so I can compare. But this is the new model in the range, so I think they've gone from what they did with the JW3, I'm just going to refer to it as the JW3 because it's much easier to say than John Wick 3 Combat Master gas blowback pistol. But on that success, they obviously took it to the next level, so they've already got this new sort of slightly updated platform compared to what we're used to. So this is the R501. Now this is another hi-capa, 5.1 they call it, with Costa Compensator. And from what I can gather, Chris Costa had a pistol, whether he released it or whether STI released it with his name on, I'm not too sure, which was called the Costa Comp Carry. And it is pretty much, without the trademarks and bits and pieces like that, this is pretty much a direct copy of that pistol. So inside the box, you're obviously going to have a manual that comes with it. You've got some silica gel here, which I presume is just to keep the moisture out during transport. We've got a magazine, which I'm just going to take out. And we've got the pistol itself. Nicely foam lined, especially for a cheaper brand. You know, you've got much more expensive pistols that come in boxes that have just got a tiny bit of cardboard in. And it's a bit crap, if I'm honest. So this is the pistol, as you can see. From first glance, it might be a little bit difficult to see. Let me move this camera closer for you. So that's a bit more up in the face. So as you can see, this has got a much shorter slide than the JW3. I'm not sure if you can see this perfectly well. I'll try and do my best here. I've not worn black because a couple of you keep telling me not to wear black with the pistols, so I'll try and do it as best as I can. For someone that owns a lot of black clothes, it's obviously very difficult. So you can see the shortened slide compared to the JW3 model. It's the same sort of length overall, but of course the main difference you'll see is this compensator that's attached to the outer barrel. So a very cool look to it indeed. You almost want to call it, I mean, going from pistols I've dealt with in the past, I almost spoke of it as a 4.3, but it's definitely not a 4.3, just because of that sort of shortened slide. So we've got full metal construction on the main frame here, the slide, the compensator, all the components, the only plastic parts being obviously the grip, which is stippled again, and I'll give you a close-up of this. As you can see, it's got a much different texture to what the JW3 had, and the other polymer piece, obviously the cap on the magazine. The magazine is pretty much a direct comparison to the JW3 magazine. The only difference is it's got a different base plate. We'll get through to a comparison in just a moment. So metal 30 round capacity magazine, green gas. You've got a nice polymer, I keep saying polymer, plastic base plate on the magazine, which is going to be a little bit kinder, say if you were dropping it, if you're doing a bit of, you may be doing a bit of practical pistol. Obviously the aluminium base plates are going to withstand a little bit more damage, but we do have them readily available for spares. I do like this sort of, it almost kind of looks like they've used like a flathead bit, like a flathead screwdriver that's hot and done like rectangles rather than circular motion, which you get from more commonly known stippling patterns if you're doing it at home or you buy it as an off-the-shelf product. But this does mimic the pattern that's on the real pistol. Obviously on the real pistol, I'm pretty sure they have an STI mark up here as well as 2011 here, and then flipping it over on the real pistol you have the Costa Ludus logo on there as well. So you can see the finish is actually really good. We've got ambidextrous safeties and thumb rests. Very good. We've got a grip safety there. The magazine release is pretty much the same as the JW3, but it doesn't have that screw-on button that comes with it, so that's just removed. Would have been nice if that was flush, perhaps with a bit of pattern on it, but it's not the end of the world. The amount of parts you can get for these hi-capas, dead simple to replace. You've got the magazine release there with an undercut just like the JW3 I believe. Trigger's not too bad at all. Let's test the trigger reset for you. Just listen how, I don't know if that comes well on camera, obviously because I'm really close, but it's so smooth. Let me just check. We are empty. We've got no gas in the magazine. See how snappy this is. Only got a little bit of gas because I've chronoed this thing and shot it. So chronoed it, put 10 rounds through, which you'll see in a moment, and then I put 29 rounds on target. It just trumped up at the last bit, so I had to put a bit more gas in it. So 40 shots, give or take. Bear in mind, in the UK here it is really cold at the moment, so let's pop that down there. So we've got, I'm going to try and do it the best I can for you here. We've got the take up, obviously there's not much room there at all. We've got the brake, very nice and precise, like the John Wick model. Reset. So really nice trigger, just like on the John Wick model. You know, you got a front fibre optic sight there with just your black tape rear irons as standard. I like the style on this. I really like the compensator. It is a little bit wobbly on the outer barrel when the slide is locked back, but when it's forward, there's not much moving there whatsoever. And as of today, I think today, yes, I posted it up not long ago, we've got the tan models in as well, which is the exact same gun, it's just got a tan frame, which they've stippled also, and they haven't got loads of burn marks. Some tan plastics can be very hard to stipple because if you go past the point of the melting point of the plastic, you can start to char up the plastic and start to burn it, and that's when you get loads of black spots in the frame. The one that I've had put in front of me today looks absolutely fantastic. Those are on the website now, so we've got them in black and tan, and they're for a great price of $89.99, so cheaper. Oh, how much is that? £45 cheaper than the John Wick 3. So there's the Costa Compensator. I'm just going to call it the Costa Carry Comp because that's what the real one's called. Flared magwell makes it really nice and easy to get the magazines in. If you haven't seen already, we stock a plethora of spare parts for these things, and of course with it being a hi-capa, the amount of parts you can get is going to be absolutely astronomical. Got some nice flat edges on the barrel there, which you could put some nice, I believe these are 9mm in the Costa carries, so you can put some nice 9mm para markings on there or such. Perhaps we should do some of these that are Cerakote, do some special editions or something. But it's really comfy in the hand. Trigger's absolutely superb. You've got a long rail there to put all your attachments, bits and bobs on. So, in this case, obviously I haven't looked at one of these for a while. We have a John Wick, and this is one of the originals. So this is the one that came with the very early threaded barrels before they changed it. They changed the colour on the barrels and they took this out. But this is the John Wick 3. We've got some gas in the magazine we have, although this pistol is really cold because it's actually really cold here, so let's make sure this is safe. So there we are, lovely trigger on that. Size comparison, let's line these up. The JW3 is slightly longer, but I'm pretty sure these John Wicks aren't a 5.1, they're slightly over. So you've got, obviously, differences are, hammers are different. The hammer on the Costa Carry obviously looks a lot more beefier. These are obviously switched out for an upgraded part down the line because they were breaking, but the suppliers have looked after all the retailers with that. So you've got a nice thicker hammer on there. So you've got a black barrel, not a coloured barrel like on the John Wick. You've got an adjustable rear iron sight on this one where this one's fixed. But as you can see, the stippling is like a more circular pattern on the John Wick, and I much prefer the stippling pattern on the Costa Carry, if I'm honest. So we've obviously got the button that goes on the mag release, which it doesn't have on this one. The triggers, from what I can see, are pretty much identical. They feel both great. I think they've got the same frame, so they haven't had to do a massive lot. The frame is a little bit different. In fact, let's line this up. The frame on the Costa carry is slightly, it's almost like, I don't know if you can see that, on the John Wick you can see that it's got more of an angle on it, like they've trimmed more off. So the frame on the Costa carry is a little bit longer, not by much, but the John Wick is a longer pistol overall. Sorry if I'm fudging this up on camera, guys. Obviously with the John Wick we're getting all the Taran tactical trades. The frame, like I say, is pretty much identical, different stippling. The flared magwells, from what I can tell, are the same. The magazines are the same, they just have different base plates. I think the Costa carry one, if I'm honest, it sits a bit more flush, looks a bit more better finished, even though this is an aluminium plate. Obviously with the John Wicks you can gas them up straight away. With this one the base plate just slides forward and you can gas it up as usual. So let's get to the chrono test. 0.2 gram BBs, green gas, it's really cold. I was still surprised how snappy this thing was. Obviously as you're getting towards the end of the magazines in this weather you do start to struggle a little bit, and you've also got to take into consideration that these pistols are cheap, you know, compared to like a Marui hi-capa off the shelf now. Marui prices are just going up and up and up and up and up, where it's going to get to a point where it's not really worth doing it anymore because everybody's undercutting each other, where these might fill that gap in the market. And they are taking feedback, so when we relay feedback to the supplier relays feedback to Army, they are listening. So they are sort of going, okay, well that's an issue, this is the fix, and that's when they ship loads of replacement hammers out for the John Wicks when they was having the problems. So we get to the chrono results, 0.2 gram BBs and green gas, and then straight after the chrono result, because literally I did the chrono, went straight onto the target at 10 meters, me just standing. The one thing that you will see on the accuracy test at 10 meters with this pistol is so much fun to shoot, and it's so snappy. So if I'd have took my time, dialed in my shots, this probably would have done, in fact I could guarantee it would have done better. But all I wanted to do was let rip with this thing on the target, which you'll see in the video. So let's cut to that and then we're back on camera in just a moment. So, 0.3s. Let's have a go. I don't know where this first round is going to land, but fairly accurate. I could dial that in with a bit of a hop adjustment. But how snappy this thing is. Every round fired. Did have a bit of running out of gas at the last couple of rounds, but I haven't gassed this up since I chronoed it, so let's just put a tiny bit more gas in there. Make sure it's fired. I think there's one left in the chamber, so let's fire that. Yep. It's not too bad for a rapid fire. So you could really dial this in, perhaps a little barrel polish. I'm using 0.3s, adjust the hop. I'll have no doubt you could get better results with this. So see there with the accuracy test, not too bad at all. You know, headshot target, size target at 10 meters, you know, are pretty guaranteed at 10 meters. If you're taking your time aiming this pistol, you are not going to miss a headshot size target. We're going to get to the scoring system now, so we're going to see obviously what I think of this pistol. This is just a bit of fun, don't take my word for it, but if you can't remember the scoring system, first thing that we have is first impressions. Right, yellow box, all the Army products come in the same box, not bad. It's packaged well, it's got no damage on it, the magazine and the pistol are split without, the ability to knock into each other. The gun pulling out the box felt great in the hand as well. First impressions, I'm going to give it a 8. Materials and finish, now you've got to remember with Army is I'd probably do go over these points a little bit compared to the different brands, but you're going to see some differences in terms of quality because you're not paying You know, the closest thing you could probably compare this to with hi-capas that come, you know, full metal out the box. I don't believe these are CO2 ready, but you know, the ArmourWorks ones are. ArmourWorks do a lot of metal hi-capas now that are competing with a lot of brands on the market. This is probably the only thing that I can kind of compare it to, but for the price, you know, you're paying less than half price for one of these compared to you going and picking up a ArmourWorks hi-capa. So, and these I believe are more comparative to the TM series for aftermarket parts compared to the ArmourWorks models as well. So materials and finish, obviously I'm going to take into considering the price as well. If that was a £300–400 pistol, obviously I'd be marking it down on materials and finish, but because it's cheap I'm going to be marking it up because it's not as expensive and the finish and stuff is really good. I was going to say on that Costa comp, the finish and materials are slightly better than the John Wick early variants, not the second ones that came through that were a little bit more updated. So materials and finish, I'm going to give it a 9 because for the price, $89.99, absolutely smashing. Spare magazines are cheap as well. So disassembly, just like any hi-capa, we take the magazine out, we pop the slide back to the position that it needs to go into, line it up, we pop that out, slide comes off the front there, we've got the frame, obviously not too much to go into there. So it slides out, we can access the hop unit there, which is very much like a TM. You can see that the hop's a little bit on. I haven't messed with that since getting this, that's probably why the shots were a little bit higher. What I can see is you do get good response off this hop unit, so that's very good. Obviously the parts are very similar to these. We obviously pull the part forward and then we can rotate the compensator off or on. I'm not going to fully strip that down on camera at the moment because I'm standing up and it's going to be a bit awkward, I don't want to drop parts. But disassembly is really easy. With these Army hi-capas, they can be a little bit fiddly just to make sure everything's into place. Just take your time with it, you'll have no problem at all. Just slide this back on. Just pop the slide release back in there. But for doing adjusting your hop and bits and pieces like that, really easy. Love that trigger. So disassembly, I'm going to give it an 8 because it is a little bit tricky sometimes with the barrels and the spring guides. Magazines, very good. 30 rounds gas magazine. Obviously we just push the plate at the bottom there and we can fill it up with gas. The plate does retain on the magazine, so it's not going to go missing. There have been a couple of magazines that we've had broken feed lips, but honestly I think it's from where people have been pulling the springs out and just letting them go. These do feel a little bit firmer compared to the older ones, so perhaps they are making improvements there. I've got no issues with this magazine whatsoever. It performed well, hold plenty of gas, hold 30 rounds, and they're inexpensive, so I'm going to give that a 9 as well. Number 5, hop up. We get good response off the hop up, it's easy to adjust. You can get like TM aftermarket parts that go straight in. Again, great. I'm going to put a 9 for that as well. FPS, as you'll see from the FPS tests, that was a freshly gassed magazine. I just let it return to room temperature, which isn't great. I think room temperature here at the moment is probably about 13–14 degrees. It's quite cold, and it performed well. It was about 34 feet per second, 340 feet per second. Sorry, it went down to about 320 if I had 10 shots. FPS, again for that, you know, I'm going to give it an 8. Absolutely great. Accuracy, not as accurate as the John Wick 3, but I was messing about with it, so I'm probably just going to give that a 7. Let's be honest to the video. So feel and feedback, the gun feels great. You'll see that in the access where I just wanted to let rip with it. You have so much fun with these things. They're so inexpensive compared to other pistols that I've owned and shot. So feel and feedback, I'm going to give a 7 again. Parts, accessories, availability. Parts, we've got them in stock on the website, readily available. Hammers, these bits, bats, bops, magazine spares, mag feed lips, it's all there. The supplier's on the ball with that. Also accessories and availability, hi-capa parts, they're available all over. The only thing I would say is just make sure if you're using different manufacturers' magazines that they do work okay. Some people have said that The Armorworks drum mags, TM mags work fine, but you know, you have to try it out for yourself just to be sure. So parts system availability, I'm going to give that an 8. And price. Honestly, price, I'm going to give it a 9. The only way that the price would get a 10 out of 10, I think, was if it was so cheap it would just be absolutely unbelievable. But $89.99, you've got a really good platform there for the money. And the magazines, again, are cheap as well. They're like between 20 and £22. The prices obviously do fluctuate here and there depending on suppliers and retailers. Let's add this score up. So we've got 8 plus 9 plus 8 plus 9 plus 9 plus 8 plus 7 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9. So we've got a score of 82 there. So technically that scored it a little bit higher than the Ludus, because I think the Ludus scored a 76, the 19X scored an 86. So again, what I will have to reiterate is that score of 82, if this pistol was more expensive, I don't think it would have got a score as high as that. The same with the Ronin that we did, the Saigo Defense Ronin. Again, you've got to take into consideration with the price, with the way that I'm doing it. Again, a bit of fun. Whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, just try and look at what I'm showing you and make up your own assumption. You guys, you know what you're getting into. You watch these YouTube videos all the time. Glad that you're watching mine, not that it's the best out there, far from it. So what I'll do is I'll get a, with the score, I'll cater into the price. So yeah, if this pistol was a £200 or £300 pistol, it wouldn't have got a higher score as it has done, but because it's only $89.99 and the way it's performed, the way it feels, the way it shoots, well earned effort there, 82 out of 100. Everything feels good. You know, it's bringing back the memories of when I reviewed the John Wick, which I was extremely surprised about, and having shot the Armorworks one, which was more expensive and, you know, is the official STI license model, for the money. Sorry, cold callers there. So yeah, 82 out of 100, really good score. I've had good fun with this pistol. Like I say, we've got them in black and we've got them in a tan coloured frame. Plenty available on the website. If we don't have these magazines, the Taran Tactical magazines will fit as well. They're the exact same thing. They're a 30 rounder, about 20 something pound for a spare. The only thing you just have to keep an eye out for is holsters. We don't currently have a lot of holsters stock on the website at the moment, but depending on when you're viewing this video, that could change. We do stock hi-capa holsters. We're just down a lot on everything at the moment after Christmas. Thanks very much for tuning into this video. I know it's been a bit mishmash compared to what I'm usually doing, but I'm just trying to get a video out because we're just so busy at the moment, and this is a cool product and I wanted to get it out to you guys and show you what's going on. So stay tuned to the channel. We've got stuff coming up. I've got the Marui FNX45 and the VFC FNX45 comparison video. We've got some cool custom builds coming up, including a mare's leg, a TM Recoil SOP mod, which we're going to be doing in a nice Cerakote pattern on. We've got some Czech small arms guns to look at, which I'm really excited about because I've picked one up for myself. Some other pistols and bits and pieces. We've got so much products. We've got loads of products coming this year as well. So stay tuned, and in the words of PewDiePie, smash like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.
Boy, wanna get in my crew, but you can't get in my crew. Me, I sell in Hoover.